Hello, my name is Maria de Souza. I am the founder of Posture Queen, and this is a place for you to learn all things good posture and movement for a life without pain and a life lived with more elegance. So today I'm going to talk about the ribs. We grow up with this concept that we have a rib cage, and just like a cage, it is solid, it's made of iron or some kind of metal, and it is not supposed to move. It's supposed to be quite rigid. So most of us go through life with this rigidity in the ribs. And that creates all kinds of complications in our movements. Movement in the rib area is very important for a lot of movements we do in our daily life, like turning around to look to the sides when we cross the streets or when we moving around. It affects the reaching out when we go and pick something from the cupboard or from the floor. So if this mobility in the ribs doesn't exist, then all these movements that we do in the daily lives are going to be very difficult or restricted. So it's important to understand that we don't have a rib cage, we have a rib basket. And just like a basket, when we press, it gives. There isn't a huge amount of movement because there aren't any joints in the ribs area. But the bones of the ribs are not as hard as the bones we have in the legs. They are a little bit softer, and they are attached to the spine and the collarbone with soft tissue. So it is designed to move. So when we press, just like a basket, it is designed to give. And this is what our ribs do as well. If we move side to side and if we press, we can feel, it depends, I can feel that in mind, it moves, it gives a little bit. Now, and why am I telling you all of this? It is important to stop thinking that we have a rib cage. We don't. We have a rib basket, and it's designed to move and to give us, to help us to do all these movements we do in our daily lives a little bit easier if we think and bring and change this idea that we have a flexible ribs area and it isn't solid and rigid. And they say that rigidity in the ribs area implies rigidity in the mind. So I'm not going into it because it's not my area, but I leave it to you to do your own research. So today I'm going to give you a lesson that helps to bring a little bit more of mobility in the ribs. Of course, mobility in the ribs also brings a mobility to the spine because, as I said before, the ribs are attached to the spine by soft tissue. So if the ribs don't move very much, the spine itself can move, and vice versa, of course. So it's a two-way thing. We need to have a flexible and mobile spine to have a flexible and mobile ribs, and vice versa. And once we found this mobility, you will find that all these movements that you do in your life become a bit more easier, reaching out, turning to the sides, and also your movements become a little bit more elegant and soft and graceful, because we're not moving like robots, moving this as one unit, but we are a little bit more soft and fluid. And that might affect all our areas in our life, not only the body. If we have a soft and fluid body, then everything around us also starts soften a little bit. And I want you to play a little bit with this idea that. So today I'm going to give you this exercise that this lesson, this Feldenkrais lesson, that will help you to bring a little bit of mobility into your ribs. But I want you to do this lesson together with lesson number 1 and lesson number 2. They are also very good and essential for the mobility of the ribs basket. So I want you to start thinking and saying rib basket as opposed to rib cage. And notice how that affects your mental state as well. How does it make you feel when you say rib basket, which to me feels soft and mobile, and rib cage, which to me feels a little bit more solid and rigid. I leave it to you to think about. Now, this exercise, we'll do it in a sitting position, but before that, sit whatever way you want for the moment, wherever it is comfortable for you. I'm going to sit on my knees. And just bring your hands onto your rib basket, the sides of your ribs here, and just move gently from side to side, and just notice if you can feel any movement in your ribs area, or are you moving, or is your torso moving as one unit. You can go from side to side, bending side to side, and rotate a little bit and see if you can feel any movement in your ribs. If you can't, don't worry about it. All you have to do is to do these lessons, lesson number 1, lesson number 2, and this one a little bit more often, and that will help you to bring a little bit more of mobility to your ribs. But be aware that it won't happen from one day to the other. It takes time, so you need to give yourself a little bit of time for this to happen. So from here we are going to sit what we called saddle sitting. So you bring your one leg at the front, so I'm bringing my right leg at the front and the left goes behind me. And have your lower leg wherever it is comfortable. So find a place that it is comfortable for you. If sitting like that is really uncomfortable for you, what you can do is sit on a chair. Okay, and you just follow the same movements I'm going to do to you. Okay, so the right leg is in front and you are leaning. You're going to lean on your right hand, but don't collapse. Just have that hand on the floor just to support you, so that you're not holding yourself. You're not making too much of an effort to hold yourself. The hand there is to help you. Okay, and now you're going to bring the left arm up, the elbow can hang down, and bring your hand in front of your eyes, and you have a soft hand, so not a rigid hand or collapse hand, just a soft hand, and bring it to the level of your eyes. And from here, you're going to turn towards your right hand side as far as it is comfortable. But the torso, the hand, and the arm, they move as one unit. So you can fix your eyes to your hand and move everything at the same time. So notice that I'm not taking my arm beyond my head or the eyes. Okay, so everything moves as one unit. And just notice how this movement feels for you. Notice what's moving. Notice where you feel the movement. Bring your attention to your pelvis. Is your pelvis moving or not? If it's not, don't worry too much about it. Things will start moving. And just do this a few times. Just notice how far you can go without forcing anything, without pushing anything. Just notice how this movement feels, okay? And do that a few more times. Notice what's moving, where you feel some tension, where you feel you are holding. Notice if you're holding onto something, onto parts of your body. Okay, and next time you come to the center, just bring the hand down and have a rest with the arm. And then we're going to do the other side. So bring the left leg in front and the right goes behind you. Okay? You lean on your left hand. Remember, leaning doesn't mean that you're collapsing. It only means that is there supporting your torso. Okay? And then you're going to bring, and remember that you're facing forwards. When you sit like that, you're facing forwards. Okay? So you're going to bring your right arm up and again bring it in front of your face. Have a soft hand. Let your elbow go down. And so don't hold the elbow up. That's what I mean. Let it relax down. And your hand is in front of your eyes. And again, just like we did on the other side, you're going to turn to the left and go as far as it is comfortable and coming back. And do that a few times. Notice again what's moving. Notice if this side feels different. Maybe you can move a little bit more. Maybe you can turn a little bit more or less. Just notice. Breathing in and out. Again, bring your attention to your pelvis. Is your pelvis moving, going with the torso, or is it fixed on the floor? And if you're wondering, or is it supposed to move? Well, ever think about it. If you move your pelvis, what does it do to the movement? Does it make the movement easier? We're always trying to make our lives easier with this Feldenkrais lesson. So there's no point to make your life difficult. Life itself is already, what it is. So here, see how can you make this movement a bit easier. So if I move my pelvis, maybe things move a little bit better. Maybe I can go a little bit farther away. How much of my ribs am I feeling? My rib basket, not a cage. Okay, do this for a few more times. Just feeling the movement. Notice what's moving, how you are moving. Breathing in and out. Remember that your eyes are kind of fixed to your hands and you move the whole of the torso and the hand all as one. Not as if you kind of are finding a little bit more of space to move into. Don't forget to breathe in and out. Okay, and next time you come to the front, to the middle, just release your arm. Have a little rest. You can rest by extending your legs or wherever. You can rest by lying on the floor. If you want to pause the video, always give your time to rest if you need to. For the sake of keeping these videos not too long, I'm not giving you too much time to rest, but please pause the video and have as much rest as you need. So bring your right leg at the front and the left behind you. Lean on your excuse me, lean on your right hand. Remember that leaning doesn't mean that you're collapsing, but you're just supporting your torso upright, okay? So bring your left arm up and look at your left hand, and we're going to do that simple movement we did at the beginning, we did before, or what we have been doing again a few times. So you're going to turn the whole of the torso, the head and the hand, to your right hand side and coming back to the center. So it's the second time you're doing this movement today. Just notice how this movement feels for you now. Is it different? Bring your awareness to your pelvis. Is your pelvis happier to get involved? Notice how much movement you can feel in the torso, in the ribs. Keep your eyes looking at your hand. So remember that your eyes are more or less kind of fixed to your hand, so that when you move the whole torso as one unit, and the hand and the arm, okay? So the hand doesn't go beyond the movement of the torso, okay? Just do this a few more times. Notice if this movement feels a little bit easier for you to do now. What have you been able to soften, release? Always trying to make these movements, whatever movements we do in Feldenkrais, always finding a way to make it easier for yourself, always noticing where you may be holding, notice where the tension might be, and then find ways to release and to make the movement fluid, graceful. And when we apply gracefulness to these movements, you'll be amazed how this gracefulness will turn up in your life as well, as you go about life, as we go about life. Okay, and then bring your arm down just for a little rest, because you're going to stay on this side. We're going to do a different movement here, okay? Breathe in and out. Any comments, any questions, any suggestions, any kind constructive criticism, please let me know below this video. I'm always open to suggestions, ideas to make things better for you, so please feel free to always comment, as long as it is kind and constructive. We don't want any negativity around here. Right, okay, so we're going to stay on the same side. Bring that hand up. The right hand is still on the floor. So this time you're going to roll, to turn to your right hand side. Do that again, and this time you're going to stay there Okay, so go as far as it is comfortable. Find a place where you can stay comfortable on the side and stay here. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna bring your hand around your, towards your, so that the lower arm, if possible, rests on top of your head, and the hand comes around to touch your right ear, okay, or thereabouts, wherever it is comfortable. If it doesn't reach the right ear, doesn't matter. You can have the hand on top of the head, wherever it is comfortable. Make it easier for you, okay? And from here we're going to do side bending movement. So you're going to bring your left ear and the left shoulder close to each other. Okay, so it's a side bend. You are still on the side. Remember that the tendency here is for us to move or turn a little bit to the front. But remember, we're not facing the front. We are on the side. So keep yourself on the side. Okay, and just tilt the head towards your left shoulder. And then coming back to the middle and do that a few times. So this is a side bend. And here, if you have a rib cage, then you probably won't feel much movement. Okay, you probably won't feel your torso, your movement won't be big at all. Don't worry about it if that is the case. Do what you can, and if there isn't much movement in your ribs, in your torso, all you have to do is to do this lesson together with lesson number 1 and lesson number 2, as I said before, for a few weeks, and I promise you that you will bring a little bit more of movement to your rib baskets. So here, just connect to yourself and just pay attention to the movement. Notice what's moving. Again, bring your awareness to your pelvis, and notice if your pelvis is getting involved, and if it's not, see if you can create an invitation for the pelvis to get involved as well. So that the pelvis comes towards the shoulder, the left shoulder and the left ear. It's only a small movement. And again, if you don't feel this movement, if the movement is not happening, don't worry about it. Just come back to this lesson again tomorrow, and after tomorrow, and after tomorrow, and the other lessons, number 1 and number 2, and things will start moving. Notice what's happening in the spine. Notice the movement in the spine. Again, if the spine is not moving, don't worry too much about it. Just do what you can today without forcing anything, without pushing anything. Pushing and forcing won't get you anywhere, because it only shocking your nervous system, okay? And you don't want to do that. You want to allow things to move slowly and gently. And remember, don't have too much weight on, don't push your head, don't have a heavy hand. The arm is only resting there, you're not pushing anything. Okay? Inhale, exhale, that will help the movement as well. I hope you have seen my previous lesson on breathing. That is very important, the way we breathe. And that's the same kind of breathing we ought to do here. Okay, so I'm here for a little while, but you, if you are tired, if your arm is tired, if your body is telling you that's enough, then please stop and give yourself a break. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Next time you bring the head to the center, just release your arm and bring yourself slowly and gently to the center. And then we're going to do the other side. So have a rest. If you want, you can lie on your back and rest. You can pause the video and do that, okay? For now, we're going to straight to the other side. And we're going to do the other side, okay? So the left leg is in front, the right leg is behind you. You're resting on your left hand. Bring your right hand up in front of your eyes. The elbow is soft and dropping down, okay? And you're going to turn the whole of the torso to your left. And you did this before, and now notice how things feel for you, how this movement feels for you. Is it easier to do? Okay, and next time you come to the side, again stay there and find a comfortable place where you can stay on the side. Bring your hand on top of your head and then around to touch your left ear this time. And here you're going to do what you did on the other side. So you're going to bring this time the right ear towards your right shoulder and back to the center. Again, is a side bending, okay? Breathing in and out. And again, if you can't find much movement, if there isn't much movement going on, don't worry about. Do what you can without pushing, without forcing, and come back to this lesson in the next few days together with other lessons, okay? Inhale, exhale, the right ear coming towards the right shoulder, and then bring your attention to your pelvis. And notice how much movement you feel in the pelvis there. Is the right side of your pelvis also moving towards your right shoulder? And if it's not, you can create the invitation for the pelvis to move as well. So don't stay here for too long. This is not the most comfortable or natural position to be. So give yourself breaks, more breaks than I am allowing you here, because as I said, just for the sake of not having those videos too long, I don't do much breaks. But you need to give yourself breaks as much as your body wants or asking you for. Inhale, exhale. Remember that you are still to the side, you're not facing the front. Okay, and then you can bring your arm down and then slowly come into the front, and then give yourself a rest. Bring the other leg in front, so the right leg in front, the left behind, and we're going to bring the right hand on the floor, bring the left in the air in front of your eyes, and we're going to do that movement we did at the very beginning. Just move to the side the whole of the torso and notice how that movement feels for you. Notice if you can go a little bit farther to the side. Notice if your pelvis is happier to participate in this movement. Notice how this movement feels now comparing to the very first time you did it. There's more to this lesson, there's more movements we can do in this position, and I'll bring it next time so that you do this step by step. Okay, so bring the hand down and let's see, let's check how things are. On the other side, bring the right hand up, left hand is on the floor, and from here you're going to turn to the left, coming back to the front. Just notice how that movement feels for you now. Is it easier? Is it more of yourself taking participation in this movement? Okay, do that a few more times. Slowly, gently. Is it easier to make this movement now? Is it, do you go farther to the side now? Do you feel more movement in your chest area? Okay. And bring your hand down. So there, as I said, there is more to this lesson. There's other movements we can do, but I'll bring that as we go along in other videos. So I'm going to finish this lesson here, but now I want you to, just like we did at the beginning, just notice how this, you can sit wherever position you want, and just notice how these movements that we do every day, like turning to the side and reaching out with the hands, notice how this feels now comparing to the very beginning. Do you feel more movement in your chest? Is there, do you feel more extension happening? Do you feel that it's easier to turn around? Do you feel that your chest is probably a little bit softer now than it was at the very beginning? Just notice all these differences. And if you are still a little bit stuck in your ribs area, then don't despair. Please do this lesson every day for a few weeks together with lesson number 1 and number 2 to bring you more mobility into the chest. And I promise you that if you do this every day, these movements, you can stick to this lesson for a few days, and then you go to lesson number 1, you do it for a few days, and then you go to lesson number 2 and do it for a few days. If you do that for a few weeks, I promise that your ribs basket or your rib cage will become a rib basket. Stay with it, and things will improve for you. And when we bring more softness to this area of our ribs, the movements that you do will become so much more graceful and easier to do. But of course, if this is not the case now, we need to practice. Thank you very much for doing this lesson with me, and I'll bring more of this lesson and the next videos. If you have comments, suggestions, please leave them below and I'll look into it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.